just driving through a whiteout sandstorm, holy cow, in Death Valley National Park. Now, the reason this place is famous is because there is moving rocks across this flat landscape. Up until 2014, this entire phenomenon was a mystery. On today's adventure, we are in Death Valley National Park, and we are gonna go see a formation or a feature that has baffled scientists and geologists for generations. We're gonna go see the racetrack. And this sign right here means that this road is kind of a four-wheel drive only road. It's very common in Death Valley to have access roads that are super duper rough and in many cases totally impassable. So if you're gonna come out to Death Valley for some bigger adventures, make sure you have a suitable rig to do it. Let's go see the racetrack. So one thing to consider about the road out to the racetrack, there is a warning on the map that says be careful on this 20-mile section of road because it's really sharp rocks. So think about that. This is the racetrack in Death Valley. What it is basically a dry lake bed called a playa or a playa. It's spelled playa. It's probably pronounced playa. Whatever. It's one of the flattest surfaces on Earth, with only a 2-inch difference in elevation from the north end to the south end. Now, the reason this place is famous is because there is moving rocks across this flat landscape. Now, where we are right now is we're on the very first turnout. We're on the northernmost end where you have access. According to the sign, the moving rocks that we're here to see are all pretty much on the south end. So I'm just walking out here to show you and tell you that if you come out to the racetrack to see the moving rocks, they're not over here. They're not on the north end. They're all down there on the south end. But it's still a really neat kind of thing to see. What we're doing right here is we're walking out towards the rock outcropping to see this one lone boulder. We're gonna see if there's a trail behind it. So here's the rock I came out here to see. No, there's no discernible trail behind this rock or the other one way out there. All right, we are now at the middle section, or at least the very next stop along the racetrack. And there's some boulders right out front of where you park. And hopefully these rocks have the trails behind them that we're looking for. So evidently, these rocks are all moving south. Now, what's super unfortunate, there's a track right here, but the rock that was making the track is missing. That rock that was sitting here has been taken. All right, let's head down to the next stop and see if we can find some better tracks. I deliberately waited to the afternoon to get more of a diagonal sun to see the trails better, so the sun wasn't shining directly on top. It'd be a lot harder to see the trails that way. But I think I waited too long. The sun is going behind the mountain. I don't know if we'll be able to see the trails in the shade. It's only 4, so at 4 in March 1st, the sun is behind the mountain at this point in the lake, at least. I say lake because it's a dry lake. Anyway, we're gonna move down to the next stop, see if there's more tracks. We're at the very next place, pull out, where you can pull out and access the dry lake bed. Only down here, there's no fence, which I think is kind of curious. Rock hounds out there and people that collect rocks, it's a huge thing. There's a lot of places that are questionable. You wonder, well, why can't I take a rock? Who cares? Well, this is the kind of place where it totally matters, because these aren't ordinary rocks. The rocks out here at the racetrack, these are special. These rocks are leaving trails. That's what makes this whole feature, this whole landscape, so unique and so special. They have patches, pins, and stickers about this specific area, the racetrack, because this is a very unique feature. So you can't take these rocks out here. These are very, very special rocks, and there's not very many. If you need to collect a rock, just collect it from somewhere else, for crying out loud. So this little rock right here, maybe the size of the palm of my hand, just a little guy. And you can see the trail behind it. These rocks are very, very special. You can't have them. It's just so neat to see these rocks with these trails behind them leading off into the distance. It's really remarkable. So this is the very last turnout, the southernmost turnout for the racetrack in Death Valley National Park. And that's where the reader board is that explains how all this is happening. So here's what's happening out here. Rain comes down, makes it a shallow lake. Lake freezes, and these rocks in the lake bed will get trapped in the ice sheet. Then thaws a little bit, creating floating ice, and the ice breaks up and a heavy wind would come. The wind pushes the ice, which in turn pushes the rocks. And it can take years before the conditions are right again to move the rocks again. So they'll be sitting in one spot for years and years and years until the conditions are just right to move them a little more, and then they'll be in a new spot. That's really remarkable. And it's wild to think that they didn't figure this out until 2014. Up until 2014, this entire phenomenon was a mystery, which is pretty crazy to think about. So let's go check out some of these before the sun gets behind the mountain. As I walk out here, I wonder how many thousands of years it has taken for these rocks to get here to the south end from the north end. Except for in this circumstance, holy cow, look at this. This rock is moving north, where the rocks we were looking at over there are all moving south. That's crazy. This one had a zigzag pattern. So during this little rock's journey, he was blown this way, then the wind shifted. He was blown this way, then the wind shifted. He was blown this way. And who knows how many years that took. Hundreds of years? Thousands of years? Millions of years? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But these are some pretty great trails here on the south end. They're pretty deep. And out here, there's a bunch more rocks to see. Unfortunately, we're about to lose all of our light. Here we have the trail of a rock that made it all across this way. But then it got to this point and starting to come back. And the trail goes off into the distance. So this rock was blown all along this way, all along to here, then got stuck in the mud right here, and then the wind started blowing it back again. That's really cool. And out here on the south end of the lake, there's a lot more trails. This is really the best spot to see these rock trails, the very southernmost end. You can see off in the distance, you can see the trails now. We're almost gonna lose our light. It's pretty spectacular. So it's a national park. It's, you know, really controlled. You're not supposed to disturb any vegetation or anything. They have lots of pullouts, big pullouts to go see the area. You are not supposed to just pull off-road. We see this stuff everywhere, don't we? Yeah. I found the perfect speed for the washboard. About 45. Don't underestimate the roads out here, because even though it only says 20 miles on the map, it's a 20-mile dirt road with intermittent, terrible washboard. Although I guess if you go 45 over that washboard, it's not so bad. The point is, it can take a lot longer to get where you're trying to get to out here. So don't underestimate that. For example, right now it's first thing in the morning. We were blasted out of camp by heavy-duty winds. And we're just not gonna have time to go see the Eureka Dunes, which is what I originally wanted to do. If we did, then I wouldn't be getting home till like 10 o'clock tonight. I can't do that. I have to work tomorrow. So anyway, yeah, don't underestimate how long it takes to get places around this park. But otherwise, it's beautiful. On your way to the racetrack or on your way out of the racetrack, you can stop by this huge crater and hike around it or hike down into it. But gosh dang, it's windy today. Woo! One of the hazards to really watch out for here in Death Valley is the winds can produce some pretty epic sandstorms. Check this out. Just driving through a whiteout sandstorm, holy cow. Now that was a really fun experience. If you have an idea for an adventure that we should go on, please put it in the comment section. And if you're looking for some more adventure ideas, you can click one of these links and go to the page, because there's literally hundreds of other adventures going on there, and I hope to see you next time.